As you can probably tell from the title, today's story is about Gamergators. Just kidding. Thanks for the nice comments, guys. But it is about virgins. Pale ones. I have an incredibly timid confession to make. I'm really bad at tanning. My skin is pretty good at it, I've got that part down, but the only part that ever seems to see any sun is my neck. Even though we've been through some of the world's best beach destinations while filming this series, Francesco and I have spent very little time with our shirts off. Not just because of the moobs either, but because writing, getting to, and filming one of these things every 3 days leaves us with shockingly little free time. We're at work, and our tans show it. But I do wish I was better at tanning, because there are a few things for a white dude that are better for your status than having an even bronzing. Nobody hears the word pasty and feels lust. It's so important to our status that presidents would even fake it. Well, at least one president. Hate it or not, the reality is we're all on display all the time. Our clothes, our hair, our mannerisms, they're all just a way of letting other people know who we're going to be. Or perhaps more than that, who we're trying to attract. We expect people to judge the book by the cover because no matter what we tell each other, that's how we judge books. If we didn't, they wouldn't have such flashy covers. In Western Caucasian society, tanning is considered flashy. It's meant as a display. What it tells us is that the being under that skin had the money and free time to lay outside somewhere warm, office workers who could escape the office, or for us Canadians, those who had the money to fly south. It's more than just melanin. If you ask people in my society today, chances are most of them would say tanning looks good, because it means you're rich, sort of. But few of us feel this way, especially historically. Tanning is only as beautiful as the status it implies. In East Asian cultures, among many others, a large percentage of women go through incredible lengths to cover up from the sun. And as a concept, that's nothing new. It's the way it was in Canada during my grandparents' time. Not long ago, a tan meant you worked the fields, not that you could escape the office. Working inside was a status symbol, just as it remains that way in much of the world today. In many, if not most countries around the world, the lighter the skin, the higher the status, at least in principle. Some people attribute this to Western influence and the desire to mimic colonial overlords, but the history of Rapa Nui shows it's much older than that. Tanning, or not tanning for that matter, is simply a way to show that you had free time to spend on vanity. And chances are if you have free time, you're somewhat in control of your own destiny. In some small way, it implies that you're powerful. On Rapa Nui, there was nothing sexy about a tan. In this tiny corner of the world, on the far eastern shores of the island, there's a cave they used to fill with virgins. It isn't a particularly accessible part of the island. Most tourists don't end up there. And further to that, it isn't all that interesting to look at. Other than a few common carvings on the walls, it's a bit like anywhere else. But this cave had a specific purpose. According to a local legend, it was a place where women preparing for marriage would go to lose their tan. They'd live for months at a time in an effort to whiten their skin for their wedding, to look pure. Because in Rapa Nui, tanning did not mean wealth and power, it meant work. And more than that, because of this cave, it meant virginity lost. Of course, none of this should come as a surprise to you. There are many ways that we display status. I expect you're actually doing a number of them right now, even if you're alone. Tanning is just one tiny piece of the puzzle. One of the major ones throughout history around the world is one of the most maligned in modern Western culture. It's being overweight. Yet fitness has only recently become the status symbol it now implies. In indigenous Hawaiian culture, for example, having visible abs wasn't a way to show off. Constant physical labor and a healthy diet meant that pretty much everyone was fit naturally. To truly stand out, you had to be different. In this case, fat. Not just love handles either, but as fat as you could possibly get. The intent was that people would be able to see your power from a distance. They'd know who you were well before they arrived in your presence. With almost no fatty food, this meant gorging on poi, which is basically just a meal of pure starch. It doesn't taste amazing, but in Hawaii it was the ticket to largeness. However, it took a non-stop diet of poi, and poi was expensive. To gain weight, you had to be rich. The ruling elite even had designated servants to rub their stomachs and intestines to help speed up digestion, because the more poi you were able to eat, the more important you were. Again, in principle. And perhaps you're thinking, that sounds ridiculous. We can't all be that petty. And yet, we are. Knowing that we're on display has altered behavior in every society throughout all history. Be it wearing a horsehair wig in revolutionary America, ice in your grill in a rap video, or a plain white t-shirt with Supreme across the chest, we are willing to spend a lot of money to pretend that we have a lot of money. Even in our choice of denying ostentatiousness, we tend to end up putting our personality on display. It's hard to avoid because we've all come to internalize the cultural symbols. It's just a part of us. It's how we find a mate. To quote Oscar Wilde, everything in the world is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. And that's a good way to frame this episode. As I see it, tanning, physical fitness, clothing, hair, everything, it's all about mating. Even in this tiny microcosm of a Pacific island, almost entirely cut off from the rest of the world, people went through incredible lengths to associate free time and a lack of physical labor with social standing. Virginity was a valuable trait, so they found a way to display it. Young women hid in a cave so everyone could see what they were from a distance, to make them more desirable. Just like the rest of us, they wore their status. It made them attractive to their future potential mate. Be it working out or eating too much, laying in the sun or hiding in the shade, announcing you're a virgin or locking it away in your grandmother's basement, status has always been what we've made of it. We can find pretty much any style attractive so long as the society around us tells us to do so. And in light of that, I'd like to take a minute to thank my wife for finding other reasons to like me, because I'm terrible at tanning. This is Rare Earth. Francesco, stop being afraid of the ocean. Get down here or you're fired.